Welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, two women, and their advocacy is to predict what is a narcissist person, people, or something else. A double life expose and mission to save others. No other than Miss Deana and Lizzie. Thank you, both of you. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yep. Okay. So I'm Deana. Our story is a little crazy. We were both married to the same narcissist, not at the same time. And I was wife number one for 27 years and lived that whole life. Finally got out, remarried, and found a wonderful partner for the past 10 years. We have a huge blended family, and this has really given me a lot of perspective between a dysfunctional, toxic, narcissistic relationship versus a very healthy relationship. So I was very grateful to be able to get that life experience.
Miss Lizzie?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Lizzie and I'm wife number two. And we kind of blended, like she said, in a very unusual way. When I left my ex husband, my second ex husband, that happened to be her first, we kind of powered together. And I told Dina that our story is something that needs to be shared. And there's many other women and men too that have experienced the same types of abuse or double life, so to speak. So we are here to kind of help educate and hopefully help others as they are maneuvering these choppy waters of relationships.
Choppy weather or choppy waters for sure. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you for your advocacy. And today let's talk about how to spot a narcissistic patterns before it's too late. So tell us, initially, narcissists can be incredibly charming. What are the subtle cracks is that charming facade that often appear in the very beginning, which may dismiss the first date jitters or intensity?
Well, when you go out on a date with someone who's a narcissist, there's a good chance you're not going to 100% know that this person is a narcissist. Because if they're any good at this, which they all are, they are going to blend in and just be like everybody else. Now, there are definite signs as you move on to the relationship, which is why Lizzie and I always recommend dating somebody for minimum 6 months, probably a year, and trying not to get too intimately involved with this person, but to really just enjoy them and be sort of at a friend level because these narcissists are very charming and they do watch you, whether they're male or female, whether you're a man or a woman dating, these narcissists will watch you and they will really start to figure out who you are, what you love, what you need, and what you're looking for in a partner. And they will very quickly become all of those things. So you'll start seeing usually a very charming person who is really anxious to meet all your needs, to know all about you, to get involved quickly in your life and in your family. Some narcissists are very much braggadocious and they will talk about themselves constantly to where you can't even really get a word in edgewise. And they want you to know all the amazing things they've done and all their accomplishments. And that list may go on and on. Other ones that are more covert can appear more humble and more interested in you. But some real good signs to look for is that person that is really wanting to quickly create a serious relationship with you and start to inundate themselves in your life, in your family. They definitely want to become sort of a strong partner with you. Now, some other red flags are looking at their life And when you see in their life that they are have some strange red flags, like maybe they're not close to their family, or you don't know their kids, or you don't know anything about their life really. And some of the things they're saying, they don't necessarily add up once you start to get to know them. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and those are some early signs to look for. Lizzie, I don't want to hog the show, so I'll let you talk.
No, you're fine. I it's hard to beat. Number 1 is as we all 3 said, is they're very charming, and they are very good to, like, immerse themselves into your life to the point that they can emulate you. It's like they look at you at such a way that they'll copy everything that you like or don't like. I mean, and then it's they know how to woo you right away, and then it's you're sucked in like a vacuum, and it's hard to get out. And the love bombing is intense, and they make their world about you. And then, over time, that's why even some therapists don't even like to do couples counseling, like premarital or whatever, in relationships until you've been together for 6 months, because that is a time that that honeymoon phase of the romance, you start to see the true person that they are. And that's why it takes time to get to know a person. That's why it's also hard to have a long distance relationship, because you cannot see the day-to-day personality of a certain person if you only see them maybe on the weekends. So it's really important to kinda not just take the time, but maybe close the distance to get to know them. But how does that look without you giving up your life or vice versa? So, and then the fact that they, after a while, they'll not only be charming in public, but when they start to become a little more distant and cold and unwelcoming in private, that's another sign. It's not because they're just introverted, it's just they're really only trying to show themselves on the outside of make themselves look good to everybody else. And yeah.
Lack of empathy is the core trait. What does a subtle lack of empathy look like in everyday conversation long before any major crisis occur?
Well, one really good sign of lack of empathy is you have your first disagreement as a couple. And you're really expecting there to be this understanding, this need to connect. What is going on with you? Let me hear you out. Let's understand. Let's bridge this gap. And instead, you may get rage, defensiveness, you may get anger. You're not going to get someone who is really trying to truly understand how you feel and come alongside you. You're going to get someone who is basically telling you, I'm right, you're wrong, and this should not happen in the future. So that's one of the first lack of empathy scenarios that you'll probably see.
Miss Lizzie?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I actually have an example of that. I had lost somebody, a couple of years ago, and I was seeing somebody at the time, and this was really grieving for me. I was just in a really deep hurt and pain. Instead of just, like, holding me or comforting me or trying to talk or connect with me, the response was, "Do you always get emotional when people pass away?" I mean, it's just it seems so little, and then you're like, "Am I really being emotional?" It makes you question yourself. And then you're like, maybe I am being a little emotional that but he died unexpectedly." But you shouldn't have to justify your emotions. And for a person to minimize that is really degrading. And it just sometimes we're in it and we're thinking, should I feel this way? Wait. I think if we're second questioning ourselves and their responses is another key point as well.
How
Yeah.
does a person with narcissistic patterns typically react the first time a healthy boundary is gently set?
Well, one thing that a narcissist hates is a boundary because remember, the narcissistic partner is all about control. They have to be in control. Now, that control can look overt with rage or anger or threats, or it can look very covert where it's pouting, or I'm not going to talk to you for a while, or I'm not going to call you back, or, I'm going to withhold something from you. But the best thing to know about this kind of manipulation is that you just have to be really aware and in tune with what you're seeing. And that, connecting your mind with your gut when you're seeing something and it just doesn't look or feel right, and this person is withholding or they're getting angry when you just want to make the relationship better. Again, that kind of that same situation where they're not coming alongside you as a team. It's more a my way or the highway approach. You're going to feel that a lot.
And I know for me, I think a very critical point is a lot of times people that are in these relationships, they don't even know what their boundaries are. So they don't realize that they're trying to build a boundary or they should build a boundary to protect themselves. So I think a huge component of the whole relationship and being with a narcissist is understanding what a boundary looks like in general and what is there I can't live with or I can't live without.
Exactly. Narcissists are attracted to people pleasers, and people pleasers, by definition, don't usually have good boundaries. They just say, look, if that makes you happy, if you don't want to go to that restaurant, if you don't want to go there for vacation, if you don't want to do those things, they will just let it go for that person and just start to give more and more and more choice and authority to that person. And that's what people pleasers do. So that's where the narcissist feels the most comfortable, for the person that doesn't really even know to set boundaries because they just want peace and happiness.
What is the role of backhanded compliments and subtle put downs, and why are they effective at eroding someone's self esteem over time?
I think it's
Missy?
because these, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Miss Dina.
honestly, yeah, these subtle put downs. Oh my goodness. I had a boss that did this to me, and it was almost unrecognizable. It was almost disguised as a compliment. For instance, I had won a prize at work, and she said, "Oh, I heard that you got recognized for most improved." And I was actually like at the very top of the class in this recognition. So it's really interesting though, because it takes a while before you start to recognize that this person is actually putting you down. And they may do this in public, or they may do it in private, or they may do it both. But you really need to differentiate. And I'm going to talk about this a lot, but you need to differentiate, how did that make you feel in your gut versus the mental, the mind game that says, oh, I mean, I guess that was nice. I mean, at least he noticed or she noticed. How did that really make you feel in your heart and your gut? Did it really make you feel that they were celebrating you and uplifting you and upholding you? Or did it feel like a little bit dismissive and a little bit hurtful, even though it was disguised? So it's always finding that difference between your head and your heart, because usually what you're feeling is accurate. What you're seeing and being told you're feeling is generally not as accurate.
Yeah,
Miss Lizzie?
I was about to say, I can't really, say any more than that without an example because I think of, I'm older midlife, so to speak, and, I had a coworker that just said something as simple as, um, "Was it really hard for you to learn how to work a computer?" Like, it was and I've been like, "Well, I kinda grew with the computer. When you've been working, you kinda grow with it." I mean, I didn't know how to if I should have I think if you don't know if you should defend yourself or if it makes you clam up, it really is. How did that make you feel? And it took me a while to really kind of work through that emotion because I'm like, "How am I feeling with this?" It's such a crazy comment. She was saying, "Oh, I'm glad you kinda know how to work computers, but was it hard for you to learn it?" Just because my age?
So, for both of you, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, since we are in this together, and it's been about 2 years now since we started our own podcast and our YouTube channel. And so, short-term goal is that we want to have a group for women, because our audience really is mostly women, and we want to be able to have maybe a 6 or 8 week, just everybody come together. We'll be on a platform such as Riverside, and we'll have a theme every week, and we give women a safe space to talk about what they've been through, to get rid of some of that confusion and that cognitive dissonance where they've been gaslighted so much that they're not even sure anymore what's real and what's not. So that's our short term. We'd like to start that at the beginning of 2026. And then, Lizzie, I'll let you talk about long term goals.
Oh, absolutely. We're in the process of trying to write a book. I know for
Yes.
me, it's exciting because I'm trying to phase out of my career so that I can do this full time because it's a lot to work both. But I have my passion is helping women spot these relationships. And not only that, it's the woman that has healed and now they're at the point where they have to reinvent. People don't realize that is still a major component of the whole, just the well-rounded person is not just leaving a toxic relationship or healing from the toxic relationship, but it's also reinventing yourself because for so long people get kind of like immersed in their partner and then all of a sudden that partner's gone and they're in this whole survival situation. So I'm enjoying that aspect long term. We really want to build the reinvention part of people of women especially. And yeah, the most important thing for me is being able to walk away from my current job so that I can do this full time and embrace the embrace the beautiful people we have met along the way.
Yes, and good luck to your goals. Hoping for more and more success. And what will be a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you
People out there that now, are you talking about relationally or business
in
wise?
general? If they
In
want to be a
general.
podcast host or advocacy for empowering women all over the world. Mhm.
You know what? I would just say take the time that you need first to really work on you and get yourself into a great space with a lot of healing and clarity and understanding, what went down because it's going to come off in layers. It takes quite a while to heal from these situations. Lizzie's been out for years. I've been out for over a decade. And I tell you, it is really a process. So first start there. Take care of yourself, give yourself all the care that you need, therapy if you need it, the groups that we're hosting. And then if you're ready at that point to jump in with both feet and to tell your story, then yeah, starting with a podcast or even just a blog or whatever your passion is, whatever you're good at, whatever you love to do, just start telling your story. And for some people, it's going to be very difficult to do because they're going to have to be very vulnerable and open to other people's opinions. But it's also one of the most healing things you can do is to be able to tell that story and be vulnerable and get a much deeper element of healing through that.
Yeah. I think for me, I agree 100% on Dina because it is all about the healing process. But if it is a passion, don't think, "Oh, I'm too old," or I'm not trained enough," or I don't know enough." I think we don't realize that the passion can come through, and all of us have had to start from ground zero. Dina and I have learned so much, and the first part is stepping out of your comfort zone and knowing because it's one thing like when Dina and I first started dreaming about this and talking about it and planning it, but it was another when we started really making ourselves public and then releasing our first podcast, our video podcast, and then anything else that we're doing. It is uncomfortable, but you do get to the point where that uncomfortableness becomes your new comfortable. I know that's like a mouthful, but just step out. It's just taking that first little step. It's not doesn't have to be a huge one, and realize that we've all had to learn along the way.
Yes, and thank you for that advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influenced your journey?
Yeah, so my favorite book, and Lizzie and I might have the same. I'll let her talk about that. But my favorite is The Narcissist Playbook by Dana Morningstar. She herself went through, a long narcissistic relationship, and boy, I tell you, when she wrote down those words on those pages about the actual play-by-play that these narcissists use, as well as in-depth description of different types of narcissism, why they do what they do, the differences between them, etc. It is so educational, and it really gives you a perspective that you just couldn't really get by simply experiencing the relationship. So it's a fantastic resource. I recommend that to anybody out there, male or female, who's going through anything like this.
Yeah, that was the exact same one because Dina and I also had a groups and of this like a book study of women that were in these situations. It really was a good eye opener in the way she really lays it out. There's so many good material out there now on narcissism, but there was just the way I think Dana Morningstar just gave and delivered the message, and then also what to look for if that, let's say your narcissist wants to win you back. There are some people that have had a successful marriage with a narcissist or a partner, but they had to prove themselves over time. You have to be separate for a while. They have to work on themselves. So she gives you kind of guidelines to even give people hope or just be educated in the whole world of narcissism.
Yes, and again, thank you so much for sharing your stories to the world. It will serve as a pattern for all those people out there. If someone sees these patterns, why is it so difficult to leave?
Love bombing. They're so good at love bombing. They're so good at hoovering. They know you so well, and then when you have kids and they're all tied into you, it's that's why a person, it takes them 7 times. They leave their partner 7 times before they get to the breaking point and not return again. I mean, they're so good. They know you. They know your weaknesses. They know your vulnerabilities because they've watched you all that time, and then they know how to put that charm right back on.
I left my narcissist 9 times in 27 years. 9 times. And I tell you, not just like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave," but I packed up the kids and moved out. And every time I did, not only was I racked with all kinds of, like, fear for having, 4 little children and raising them as a single mom and all the normal fears you would have with separating from a relationship, but then there's this trauma bond because these narcissistic relationships are extreme highs and extreme lows. And that is done purposefully because when you're in these extreme highs, in other words, they are just giving you everything you're craving, everything you've been starving for in the relationship. They just give it to you and they give it to you freely. But then it gets taken away. And so that creates this incredible trauma bond and this incredible addiction to these crazy highs and lows. And so literally neurologically, you can get addicted to this kind of behavior and this kind of relationship. So that coupled with all of the challenges of fear of a new relationship or fear of leaving, fear of not being able to make it, guilt for your children, and then you couple it with the trauma bonding, it's a huge problem to try to get out.
Yes, for sure. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, and movie 101 review, music 101 and fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. For someone listening or watching right now who feels trapped in this dynamic, what is the most important thing they need to hear about their own worth and their ability to heal and find healthy love?
That's a great question, Daniel. I think that the most important thing is that they need to really, really get people outside of this narcissist because, again, narcissists like to isolate you amongst everything else so that you don't get any kind of value or self worth from anybody but them. That also gives you your opinion of yourself because if you're basing it on them, your opinion of yourself could change any minute. You could be a great person one minute and a complete failure the next. So, getting a community outside of this narcissist. If they keep moving away from your family, stay close, stay bonded, have friends, have people that are sharp and that have good empathy and understanding, and that they can see through these things, and let them tell you and rely on them to keep you grounded on who you really are, and start to remember who you were before you met this narcissist. That's going to help go back to those times and remember who you are, the things that people say about you at your work, or in your home, or in your family, your children. Just make sure you have other sources of self-worth besides this person who wants to make sure that you have none.
I guess for me, I'm gonna keep I just wanna echo what Dina said, 'cause that's exactly what we tell others. I think the number one I would tell any victim in this situation is, "You're not crazy, and you're not alone." There's
Mhm.
many people that have walked this journey, and there are many people that are willing to walk beside you. For a person that is supporting a person, a victim in these situations, be patient, be gentle, be kind, realize that it takes a long time before they may get to the breaking point, and maybe learn some keys and how to help them as they need to get out of these situations as well.
Miss Dina and Miss Lizzie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And of course, empowering women all over the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Okay, yeah. So we are on YouTube at Surviving Toxic Relationships, and we're also, our podcast is Surviving Toxic Relationships. You obviously can go to our website and check out what's coming, because we are going to be again offering those groups, and there'll be a whole lot more coming from these two ladies, because we went and became certified life coaches to make sure that we had the tools to make a difference and help you.
And look for us on our Facebook page, Surviving Toxic Relationships with the Matadoras. We'd love to see you there.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Dina and Miss Lizzie, because if you support them, for sure more and more empowering advocacy about women will rise. So, both of you, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Monica, people, see you soon.